Crazy work, man. This shit crazy. Crazy work. Crazy work, man. There's some people up there now. I'm gonna change this to this. Okay, there we go. Get my shit right. Why is it turning through? There we go. What it do, what it do, what it do, what it do, man. You know I gotta show y'all some shit, man. It's Black History Month shit. I got to show y'all some shit. Crazy work. Some crazy work, man. That shit be coming out of y'all mouths, man. They gonna hate this one, man. I promise you they gonna hate this one, they'll see go. It's crazy. This shit is crazy, y'all. Like, that's what they think about us. Why would it be a monkey though? Why would it be? Why would it be a monkey though? You know, Shalana, salute, Shalana. Like, why would it be a monkey? Like, why we can't be lions? Why we can't be tigers? Why we can't be bears? Why we gotta be monkeys though, dog? Like monkeys? Why? Man, this shit cold. And also, this is to show you that, man, listen, man. You can bootlick all you want to with these people, bro. It doesn't change the color of your skin, man. You can bootleg and you can, man, listen, man. They still don't give a damn about you, boy. I'm finna show y'all something. It's Black History Month, man. If you don't like it, exit. Any foul comments, get their ass up out of here, man. Watch this. Bootlickers, man. You motherfuckers be bootlickers. Shit be ill, dog. Come on, man. And then, watch this. Just watch. I'm gonna let y'all watch it. I'm gonna let y'all watch it. I'm gonna let y'all watch this. Let y'all be the judge. Look at this shit. Look at this. Look at this, dog. Watch this. Watch this.
If you want the race to be over tomorrow, let me hear you scream.
Y'all, when you spend years being the most loyal, bootlicking, buck dancing black Republican in the Senate, defending every racist policy, promoting every xenophobic talking point, and tap dancing so hard your shoes catch fire, and then the moment you call out one racist meme, your own, people turn on you with the fury of 1,000 suns. That's not betrayal. That's you finally learning what every other black person already knew.
Definitely a
To white
sellout.
supremacy, you will always be
Definitely.
disposable. And Tim Scott is learning that lesson in the most public, humiliating way possible. What's good, family? Welcome back to Chronicles of Blacks, where we document what happens when black people who align themselves with white supremacy finally realize they were never part of the team. I'm your host, and if this is your first time here, understand that we don't celebrate anyone's suffering, but we absolutely document the consequences of selling out. We're talking receipts, we're talking patterns, and we're talking about why aligning yourself with people who hate you will always end in betrayal. Before we get into how Tim Scott, the most loyal MAGA senator in Congress, got attacked by his own supporters for calling a racist meme racist, how they called him slurs, demanded he be primaried, and told him he's no longer welcome in the movement,
bro.
make sure you hit that like button.
Hey, bro, this shit is, listen, and then what's cold about it is they don't even wait and they don't even think about the work you did for them. They just go straight for the juggler. You were never one of us anyway.
It tells the algorithm that accountability matters and that we're paying attention to who sells out and what happens when they do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead
You
and do
wasn't
that
one of
now,
us
because
anyway.
we're building a community of people who understand that proximity to power is not the same as protection. And Tim Scott just got the memo. Let me lay out the timeline so we understand exactly how we got here. Tim Scott has been a United States Senator from South Carolina since 2013. Throughout his career, he has positioned himself as one of the most conservative members of Congress and one of the most loyal supporters of the MAGA movement. In 2020, he was considered as a potential running mate. In 2024, he campaigned aggressively, holding rallies, making speeches, and defending policies that many in the Black community found harmful. He was rewarded for his loyalty by being considered for cabinet positions and being given prominent speaking roles at political events. But on February 7th, 2026, something changed.
Hey, our whites don't have back, Shalana. That's why you can't get a wrench over here, mama. You might as well go over there with them. You might as well. This ain't the page for you, Miss Shalana. And this is respectfully. This is not the page for you. So you might as well just skedaddle on over there with your people, because I don't even know why you even came over here anyway with no wrench. You know, the Miss Shalana I knew had a wrench. So what is this? So you might as well just exit. You know what I'm saying? Or I can help you. You know, I don't even know why you came over here. Y'all go to them pages where y'all been popping at.
The video used racist
Y'all buy
imagery
memberships
that has been
over
used
here.
for centuries
Y'all don't send
to
cash apps over here. I
dehumanize
don't know
Black
why y'all over
people.
here.
And for the first time in his political career, Tim Scott spoke out against his own
Take your
party.
like away and
He
everything,
posted
nigga.
on
I don't
social
care.
media,
See ya.
claiming this video is fake. This is one of the most racist things I've ever seen come out of the White House.
I ain't faking with nobody.
He called on the president to take it down. And that's when the attacks began. Within hours, MAGA supporters flooded Tim Scott's social media with racist slurs, calling him the N-word, telling him to go back to the plantation, and saying he was never really one of them. Conservative commentators said he should be primaried and removed from office.
I don't care.
Right-wing influencers
Nigga,
said
I
he
don't
was
go
a
over
traitor,
there watching
a rival,
anyway.
and a woke liberal.
Nigga,
They said
when
he
it
was
cracks over
ungrateful,
here, y'all come
disloyal,
around.
and that
When
he
it's
had
like
betrayed
this,
the movement that
nigga,
made him.
I don't give a
The
damn,
attacks were
nigga.
so
This
vicious,
is me talking, nigga.
so racist.
My shit
and
pops
so
over here without ya. Without ya. So skedaddle on, go on back over there and tell them what I said. Tell them what I said. It's not needed. I don't give a fuck. Nigga. Every time my shit pop, y'all pop up. What y'all around for? To see if it's still a dollar sign in that shit? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's still a dollar sign right there.
so
Skedaddle,
coordinated that it
homegirl.
became national news. And the
Skedaddle.
irony was not lost on anyone. The man who had spent years defending racism,
I'm being
promoting
respectful.
policies that harmed Black communities, and aligning himself with white supremacy, was now being attacked with the same racism he had
Skedaddle,
enabled.
man.
And Black America watched with a mixture of schadenfreude and sadness, because we tried to tell him, we tried to warn him, and he didn't listen.
Somebody posted Stafford, post, and I knew it was all
Once
about.
it start popping, they
take
come.
a look at that.
Nah, bitch, get out the
See
way.
the whole thing.
I'll
It's a
take y'all
small
ass over there.
section at the very end, but that was about fraudulent
Y'all some
elections,
bullshit ass
which
people.
we have a lot of them. We're going to get it stopped, and I liked the beginning. I thought and just passed it on, and I guess probably nobody.
Thank you,
reviewed
my
the end
friend.
of it because what I saw
Go
at the
now.
beginning was really slow.
I don't even want to be affiliated with that shit y'all got
fraudulent
going on
elections,
over there.
Anytime I see that stuff and when it's credible, you put it up.
Get Jesus cross around her neck, has apparently decided that the part about false witness, which I think is one of the commandments, it's been a minute, since I checked it out, but I think it's still in there. I think that in modern parlance means don't lie, and yet she lies daily. So this is probably why I'm agnostic, because if there's a God, God would have smote, I think that's the word, Caroline Levitt, a very, very long time ago, for her dishonesty. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, this is just par for the course. It's part of what he's always done. which has dehumanized black people in particular, folks of color more broadly in general. A, as a distraction from other things, of course, like the Epstein files, all those kinds of things, but also because it's sort of who he's been. His dehumanization of black people goes back a very long way. Certainly did that with the exonerated file. He's always had this deeply felt white supremacy and anti-blackness that animates him. And in a moment like this, he will pull that card because in the first 8 months of this administration, because of the disproportionate attack on certain departments within the government that were disproportionately populated by employees of color, particularly black women, and also the attack on DEI in the private sector. This is a president who is doing harm to black people every day. This video is the least of it, but it is indicative of the mindset that has animated this man since he was a very young man, helping his father discriminate against black people when it came to housing. So it shouldn't shock us, but it should enrage us. And the Democratic Party needs to not run away from calling this out. This is not, the idea that you're going to go into the election next year and talk about the price of eggs and affordability and not talk about rising authoritarianism and racialized fascism. That is a losing strategy, both morally and practically, for the Democratic Party. So they better understand the American people. There are millions of Americans who are offended by this, and they don't want to just talk about the price of eggs. They don't want to just talk about the price of housing. They don't want to just talk about the price of healthcare. They want to talk about the fact that their president is leading this country down into an authoritarian hellscape from which we make. Things that she sees didn't just happen, that they're the result of certain policies. Because here's what's interesting about that area that we now like to call the ghetto. The reality is the ghetto was created, and public housing in particular was created not for black people. It was created for poor white people. And in fact, for the first several years of public housing, people of color couldn't even get into public housing projects. They were essentially segregated by race. Only poor white folks could even live there. And then what happened is the government created some new programs under the FHA program, the VA loan program, later on the GI Bill program, which allowed those same white folks who had been poor and struggling to leave public housing and to leave urban areas and to hustle it out to the suburbs where only we could live, or to the smaller towns where only we were going to be welcome. So what's interesting is that the hood became the hood because only people of color now were allowed to live there. Black folks were literally being subsidized by the government to move to the suburbs. The white middle class, and make note of this, was built by government. Government programs that underwrote those loans because those families could not have afforded a loan otherwise. They were able to get one because the government underwrote the loan and guaranteed the loan in case of default, but only for people of color. Only for white folks. People of color couldn't get into any of that. So white folks were able to move. People of color were not.
This shit is true, dog. I be tired of people trying to vouch for it. Bro, these are facts, dog. Quit arguing with facts and just be like, damn, yeah, this is messed up. We need to fix
this. And they built
this.
interstates right through the heart of the community.
Quit it with the excuses and shit, dog.
Knocking down black homes, black apartments, knocking down black-owned businesses
Then it be our people.
all around the country.
Like,
between 1950 and 1970, about 1 in 5 apartments or houses lived in by black folks was knocked to the ground for economic development purposes.
I'm going to tell y'all something. Ain't no more projects in Austin. Ain't no more projects. It's only affordable living houses. There ain't no more projects. They tore them hoes down. They tore them down. And built affordable, they call it affordable living apartments. That's why you see like all them apartments, them brand new apartments where nice ass looking apartments in Austin where shit be happening in them, like a whole bunch of shootings and shit. That's because that's where they move them project people. But
even though people of color couldn't benefit from almost any of that economic development. So that's how our communities come to look the way they look. But if we don't know that, and if I don't tell my daughter that, but maybe let's say I don't tell her because I don't know. What if I don't know the history? What if I don't do this work and therefore don't know the answer? What do you think my daughter is going to assume is the answer? What would you assume is the answer? You know what we would assume if we're not taught the history? Hasn't been raised in a social context. You need to get the hell away from that person. They would be like a feral animal, right? They would be wild. It'd be like being raised on an island by a porpoise. They wouldn't even know how to have language. They probably try to eat you because they wouldn't understand.
Hey, bro. I'm sorry. I'm waking and baking right now. That's all it is, my brother. Just different shades of color. Different shades of color. No one should be treated a different. It's just a different shade of color. But see what it is it's some let me see how I can say this. It's some you can't understand it. People fear what they can't understand. They can't understand how it came out like that. You get what I'm saying? Man.
There's like a taboo against that, right? You need to get the hell away from anybody who's actually a rugged individual, because there are no such things. And certainly, let me just say this, if you inherited $200 million from your daddy's real estate empire, you sure as hell are not a self-made anything or a rugged individual. You might want to write that shit down.
You know, motherfuckers be quick to say self-made. It's your daddy, your mom and them handed you some shit down. You got some shit that's been handed down 5 times. Self-made. Man, listen. That ain't it. That ain't what we talking about.
So there is no rugged individual anything. We're all social beings. Some have had opportunity, others have not. Unless we're honest about that, unless we're willing to have a conversation, we end up misleading ourselves and we can't understand what we're seeing. And then if we can't understand it, we're not going to fix it, right? We're not going to fix the disparity in housing if we don't understand where it came from. So if the data says, and it does, that white folks on average have 15 times the net worth of black folks, 13 times the net worth of Latino folk, right? We just assume, well, we must have worked harder. Is that right? That's interesting, because actually the black folks and brown folks have done some of the hardest work in this country ever since the country was founded. Were it not for the labor of African descended peoples, there would be no country at all. In fact, it was my family, white slave-owning family in the South, that got black folks to do all the hard work because we were lazy asses and didn't want to work at all. White folks in the South on the plantation used to want to sit on the porch and drink mint juleps and have carriage rides rather than...
But they call us lazy. What about the days of y'all laziness? Y'all was lazy for years sitting on the porch in them rocking chairs. I be thinking the laziness we learned came from us watching y'all. Damn, one day, man, I hope we can be sitting in them chairs. And once we get the chance to sit in them chairs, nigga, we never got out of them. Ain't that a motherfucker?
Than work, while black folks did all the real labor, and yet we decided that black folks are lazy, which I find fascinating. Right? And then people write to me and say, well, these black people, they're just taking all the jobs. Okay, which is it, Precious? Because it can't be both. People of color can't take all the jobs and be lazy. I don't ask much of racists, because I expect very little, but you cannot be lazy and take all the jobs. Are we at least clear on that? Like, if you took all the jobs, you were like the opposite of lazy. If you are indeed lazy, you probably did not even take one job, let alone all of them. So I just need racists to get their damn story straight. That's all I ask. I just don't like moving targets. That's all.
That nigga say I like moving targets.
But if I don't tell my daughter the truth, she defaults to the position of the culture, and then she can't understand what the problem is. The same is true with policing. You can't understand the Black Lives Matter movement and the importance of it if you don't know the history and the relationship between law enforcement and black and brown peoples. If you understand,
this is why I was trying to explain to y'all about the police chief in Philadelphia. You don't know what type of relationships that she got with them neighborhoods that she can probably say that it's peaceful. And y'all gonna come through there. Y'all think y'all gonna come through there and be disruptive with the National Guard, whatever the fuck it is, and ICE and all that shit. And then she done created a bond with her people, with the people in the communities, and y'all gonna fuck that up with her. Cause once y'all come through there, the first person they gonna look at is her. You letting them do this to us? And then it's all over again. So she told them, please stay away, ICE. We don't need that shit. We got it under control. I told y'all that, dog. Like,
understood that history, you wouldn't ask one question about why this movement is necessary and why it's righteous. If you knew that history, but you don't know it, and it's not your fault. You weren't supposed to know it, and nobody taught it to you, right? So you don't have to know that modern policing traces back to slave patrols. That black folks' first experience with law enforcement was having, you know who? Working class and poor white folks on horseback going around keeping black folks in line on behalf of the rich master that owned all the property.
That's what we do.
That sounds a lot like modern policing, because ain't no rich people policing, right? It's working class folks who are out there protecting the property of rich people, against the depredations of poor people. That's what modern policing is, and it traces back, and we know that's what modern policing is, by the way, because we will lock you up for 10 years for $100 worth of food stamp fraud, but if you take $12.5 trillion on Wall Street, 20% of the net worth of this country, you will not do 1 day in jail.
Hey.
So we know that law enforcement
That's why we need to get into the white collar crimes. Fuck it. Yeah, we need to stop selling dope and just do what they do. Get into the white collar crime stocks and steal that shit and dump some money into the stock when that bitch fold. When we hear that it's gonna fold, snatch all the money out of it, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Shit you know you ain't supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yeah.
It's got nothing to do with enforcing the law. It's got nothing to do with good people and bad people, lawbreakers and the law abiding. It only has to do with controlling certain people. And black and brown folks know who those certain people usually are because it's always been them. See, black folks know that it was cops who were involved in race riots and racial terrorism against black communities for the first 50 years of the 20th century. You didn't learn about that in class either, and that's not your fault. It wasn't taught, but in fact, every single year, just about from 1900 all the way to the 1930s, 1940s at least, there were race riots where white folks would just go into black communities, burn them to the ground, bomb them from the air like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, rip people out of their homes, beat them in the street, and police sat by, watched it happen, and participated. That doesn't mean that every cop in the modern era is like that, but it means that black folks can be excused for being not so clear on the decency of police in their communities because there's a history there. It was police who dragged black folks and white profiling that black folks are twice as likely as white folks to be stopped and searched for drugs, even though white folks are more likely to have drugs on us on the occasions that we're searched. White folks use drugs and sell drugs at the same or higher rates than black folks and Latinos, and yet it is black folks and Latinos who in any given year make up 85 to 90% of the people who get arrested and incarcerated for a drug offense. See, people of color know that. And if we don't understand when black folks rise up and say Black Lives Matter. Well, what do you mean, black? All lives matter. Yes, sweetheart, I know they do. Yes, they do. And that is a totally irrelevant and unnecessary point to make. You see, you don't have to say all lives matter. We take that for granted. What we've never accepted in this country is that black and brown life matter. You have to proclaim that which is ignored, you see. That's why we have Black History Month right now and not White History Month. We don't have to have White History Month because we got May and June and July and August. And every other month where we learn about white folks, we don't have to call it that. See how slick that is? That's how white supremacy operates. You don't have to call it White History Month. You just call it history. When you say Black Lives Matter, to respond with all lives matter would be like going in a time machine back to 1971. Y'all won't remember this, those who were students.
Trader, and saying he should be removed from Congress. Another said that Scott was only useful as long as he stayed in his lane, and the moment he stepped out of line, he was done. A conservative commentator said that Scott's reaction to the meme proved he was never really MAGA, that he was always a liberal in disguise. A right-wing influencer said that Scott should be grateful for everything the movement did for him, and that calling out the president was an act of betrayal. Here's my verdict. Tim Scott just learned what every other black person already knew. To white supremacy, you are not a partner. You are a tool. And the moment you stop being useful, you are discarded. The attacks on Tim Scott are not about the meme. They're about the fact that he dared to assert his humanity.
That shit
and
hurt.
white supremacy cannot tolerate that.
Y'all better stop taking
Let's talk about the hypocrisy, because it's suffocating.
Right.
This is the same Tim Scott who said that America is not a racist country. Even as black people were being killed by police, denied opportunities, and systematically oppressed. This is the same Tim Scott who defended policies that separated families at the border, denied health care to the poor, and cut funding for programs that help black communities. This is the same Tim Scott who stood on stage and cheered for a movement that built its entire platform on xenophobia, racism, and division. But the moment that racism was directed at someone he respects, someone who looks like him, suddenly it was too much. Suddenly it was unacceptable. Suddenly he had a conscience. Not this, family. Not that. You can't spend years enabling racism and then act shocked when that racism turns on you. You can't defend a movement built on white supremacy and then expect them to see you as equal. You can't be a token and then complain when you're treated like one. Now let's connect this to the system, because this isn't just about Tim Scott. This is about how the system uses black people to legitimize white supremacy and then discards them when they're no longer useful. In politics, the system elevates black conservatives who are willing to attack their own communities, giving them platforms, power, and access as long as they say what white supremacy wants to hear. In media, these voices are amplified to create the illusion of diversity while the message remains the same: protect whiteness, punish blackness. In culture, the system rewards black people who distance themselves from other black people, who claim that racism doesn't exist, and who blame black communities for the harm caused by systemic oppression. But the moment these black voices step out of line, the moment they assert their humanity or call out racism, they are attacked, discarded, and replaced. This is the playbook. Use black people to promote white supremacy, then throw them away when they're no longer useful. And Tim Scott just became the latest example. Let me bring this home with real voices, because regular people see exactly what happened. A black student said she used to see Tim Scott on TV and feel embarrassed that he represented black people.
That's cold.
But now she just feels sad because he's learning what we've been trying to tell him all along. A black worker shared that watching Tim Scott get attacked by the people he defended is poetic justice.
That's crazy.
But it's also a reminder that white supremacy will never see us as equal, no matter how much we bow down. A black teacher said she hopes Tim Scott learns from this and starts using his platform to actually help black communities instead of attacking them. These stories prove that when you sell out, you don't just lose respect from your community. You also lose protection from the people you sold out for. The Bible says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
Goddamn soul.
And that's exactly what we're watching. Tim Scott gained a Senate seat, political power, and access to the highest levels of government. But he lost his soul. He lost the respect of his community. And that he's learning that the people he sold his soul to never valued him in the first place.
It's crazy, dog.
If your politics require you to betray your own community, your politics are poison. If your strategy involves aligning with people who see you as less than, your strategy is suicide. If your movement only values you as a token, you're not in a movement. You're in a trap. Family, let this be a lesson. Tim Scott is not a victim. He is a cautionary tale. He spent years enabling racism, defending white supremacy, and attacking black communities. And the moment he called out one racist meme, his own people
all he did was say, man, that was a racist meme that Trump put. Bro, once he said that, dog, they went left on his ass. They went straight for the jugular. That's crazy. I'm watching this shit, I'm like, wow. I'm like, bro, did you realize? Dog, what was the reason that this is funny? How could this be funny from y'all president? This is funny? Come on, dog. It wouldn't be funny with Trump's face on there. But it wouldn't feel the same either. This wrong, dog. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. Like, dog, this is not right, dog. And nowhere, no race, nobody. This ain't right. Yeah, I gotta come on, dog. And then for this man to be vouching for these people and they to change up on him like that, dog, that quick, and you were never one of us. You were never one of us. I'm like, dang. They did the same thing to Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj thought she had the gold badge and the gold ticket. Girl, you fuck that gold card. Where is your paperwork at? Did he give you some paperwork for your citizenship? Hell no. Well, bitch, you looking stupid right now. He doing all this shit for nothing, dog.
You don't believe that Africans were brought over on slave ships? Correct. I believe it may have happened, maybe people were brought over as slaves, but I don't think that the black people in America came from Africa on slave ships. I believe the people that were here were slowly conquered. First, they got the East Coast, and then they started spreading out west little by little, conquering. And when you conquer a tribe, what do? You enslave them. They're POWs, right? Okay. That's what you do. So after you conquer this tribe, you make them slaves. Now, how do you conquer the natives here? So let's say you got this tribe is warring against this tribe. Well, this tribe goes talk to the white man. White man says, yo, if you help me wipe out these people, then boom, I'll help you with whatever. So they get together and they wipe out this other tribe. Now, guess what? The white man now outnumbers this tribe. So he wipes them out.
Both
You just kill
parties
two
don't
birds
have
with one
no
stone.
problem
You
with
just
it.
keep moving like that. We were the natives.
Put their ass.
Brought here on
Listen. We gonna see. Remember when I told y'all that boy Trump got that power? Now with him saying that, dog, watch this nigga disappear like magic. He gonna disappear like magic and probably won't even have a job. This nigga gonna be doing something, baking cookies or something. Watch this, dog. Watch what I tell you. Now, he gonna be one of them ones trying to go against the government and get y'all to take his side. No, nigga. No. Watch they gonna make this nigga disappear like magic. And I ain't talking about unalive him or nothing. He ain't gonna have no job. And watch what I tell you. What?
on slave ships.
What how they do you?
That's not economically sound. This doesn't make sense. So when Christopher Columbus got here, Christopher Columbus got to the Caribbean, according to a primary source. Right. They basically said the first thing he did was take slaves. He didn't bring slaves. He took slaves from the island. He captured people. So when you have colonization, you got to remember, the United States was only built 13 colonies at first, right? You think this whole land was empty? No, there were natives here. Right. But today we're taught that natives is some other people. No, natives are the melanated African being that has come here since the beginning of the Mali Empire. We're talking about 14th, 13th century. We had already come here from Africa. Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had already come here. To the United States or to this landmass we call the United States. So the way the ocean current works is it works from Africa, leaves out of West Africa, comes to South America and the Caribbean. That's just how the currents go. You don't need no paddle boat or nothing. It'll just currents just take you there, and then you travel up. But we had already been here. All you got to do is look up the story of Sarah Rector. Sarah Rector is a wealthy so-called Native American. I think she was a Choctaw tribe or one of these tribes, but she was wealthy, and she wanted a VI pass to go somewhere, and they had her classified as a free person. Why don't we know about the wealthy so-called black people in America? Why don't we know that there were black slave owners in America? Why is that not taught? Why is it not taught? How many black slave owners were there? Man, the natives here had slaves.
Y'all, when Joe Rogan, the most popular podcaster in the world with millions of listeners, sits down with a guest and they start talking about how black people were already in America before the transatlantic slave trade, how we were the original inhabitants of this land, and how the entire narrative of us being brought here on ships might not be the full story, you know the conversation is about to get real. And while some people are calling it conspiracy theory, others are pointing to archaeological evidence, historical records, and the fact that this narrative has been suppressed for centuries. So let's break down what Joe Rogan's guest said, what the evidence actually shows, and why this conversation matters for Black America. What's good, family? Welcome back to Chronicles of Blacks, where we explore the history they don't teach in schools, the narratives they tried to bury, and the truth about who we really are. I'm your host, and if this is your first time here, understand that we don't do surface-level history. We go deep. We look at archaeological evidence, we study ancient texts, and we challenge the narratives that were designed to erase our true origins. Before we get into what Joe Rogan's guest revealed about black people being the original inhabitants of America, why this theory is supported by evidence that mainstream academia refuses to acknowledge, and what this means for reparations, land rights, and our identity as a people, make sure you hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that hidden history matters and that we're not going to let our story be erased.
Make sure y'all
And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now, because we're building a community of people who understand that the truth about Black people is far more powerful than the lies we've been told. Let me start by laying out the facts, because this conversation is not new. For decades, scholars like Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Clyde Winters, and others have argued that Africans were in the Americas long before Christopher Columbus.
We've been over here.
In his 1976 book, They Came Before Columbus, Dr. Van Sertima presented evidence of African presence in the Americas, dating back to at least 1300 BC. He pointed to Olmec heads, massive stone sculptures found in Mexico that clearly depict African features, including broad noses, full lips, and braided hair. These sculptures date...
Hey, they hate this. They gonna hate this one right here. And I'm not, dog. You know, I'm Black. I love being Black, dog. Hey, listen, y'all can keep lying to yourselves, though. But, man, the way them sculptures look is just crazy, though. I know my nose big as shit. That's why I be proud of it. I ain't tripping with nobody say I got a big nose. Hey, all Black people do. They just don't realize it.
Date back to 1200 BC, over 2,000 years before Columbus. In addition, there are ancient maps, including the Piri Race map from 1513 that show the coastlines of the Americas
Thank
with
you
a
for the
level of
gift.
detail
Good morning
that
to
suggests
everybody
prior
in here.
knowledge.
We'll light this bitch up,
connections between African languages and indigenous languages in the
telling you.
Americas, as well as cultural practices, agricultural techniques, and religious symbols that are identical to those found in West Africa.
Good morning.
But the theory goes even deeper. Some scholars argue that not only were Africans in the Americas before Columbus, but that Black people were the original inhabitants of this land. They point to the fact that when Europeans first arrived, they encountered indigenous peoples who they described as copper-colored, but also documented encounters with black-skinned people who were distinct from the copper-colored natives.
Wow.
In 1540, Spanish explorer Cabeza de Vaca wrote about encountering Black people in what is now Texas.
Hey, we know who really owned this mug. Native people. We ain't nothing native about us. Ain't nothing native about us, dog. We know who owned this shit. But what he said was Black people were seen around. Hey, native people wasn't trying to slave Black people. You get what I'm saying? They wasn't trying to slave Black people. So you would think that you would see them kicking it. I mean, you know, maybe like here and there, you know.
In the 1600s, European explorers documented Black tribes living in the Americas who were not enslaved Africans, but indigenous to the land. These accounts have been largely ignored or dismissed by mainstream historians, but they exist in the historical record. Now let's talk about the Joe Rogan clip, because this is where the conversation went viral. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan's guest, who was discussing alternative history and suppressed narratives, brought up the theory that
we know
Black
where we
people
come
were
from.
Already in America
we come from the motherland.
Slave trade.
You know,
the guest said that the narrative of all Black people being brought here on ships doesn't account for the archaeological evidence, the historical records, and the fact that there were Black tribes living in the Americas when Europeans arrived. Rogan, to his credit, didn't dismiss it. He asked questions. He engaged with the evidence. And he said that if this is true, it changes everything we know about American history. The clip went viral with millions of views. And Black people across the internet started asking questions. If we were already here, why were we told we were brought here? If we were the original inhabitants, what does that mean for reparations? And if this narrative has been suppressed, who benefits from keeping it hidden?
But when you look at the holy white man, he said, when we got here, we met Black people. Go look at the primary source. We got here, we met Black people. We got the Caribbean, we met Black people. You think the Caribbean is right next to America and they weren't in America? That's interesting. Doesn't make any sense. Well,
that's what I'm telling you.
Sense that
hey, that's why I'm trying to tell you, like, if the Indians wasn't trying to slave nobody, you don't think that you're not gonna see them around. Some of them may be cool with some Black folks. Some of them, maybe you don't think it's a chance. Natives are not evil. Black folks wasn't evil. We had no sense to be evil and try to slave people or nothing. So you know, y'all don't think. You know what I'm saying?
Do have people that have traveled, whether it's Polynesians that traveled to Hawaii or people. I mean, there's the Olmecs who were thousands and thousands of years ago in South America. They have clearly African faces.
Yes.
I mean, really, the noses, the lips. I mean, they look African, and that was a South American culture that existed, and we don't know anything about them other than the fact that they have these gigantic stone sculptures that have African faces.
Well, like again, just go to. If you can pull up the ocean currents,
I've seen that.
You've seen that, man.
Do you know who Graham Hancock is?
I've heard about him, yeah.
You read his stuff. It's really fascinating because he's all about that. He's all about the fact that the idea that human beings were probably living in advanced civilizations far longer than 14,000 years ago. And they did travel all over the world, and that you do find the remnants of these ancient cultures that we have no explanation for throughout the Amazon, you know, throughout different parts of South America and Central America.
Yeah, I mean, when you go and you look at real European history, right? You had the Magyars would believe that if they took a bath, it was bad.
Right.
They didn't even want to change their clothes. They thought that dirty was purity. When we talk about the Moors going into Spain and into Europe, the stories in the history, our history, says that when we met the so-called Caucasian, he was sleeping in the barn with the animals, and we told him, no, you can't sleep in the barn with the animals. We taught them etiquette. We taught them running water. We brought that technology to Europe. Now, if we brought the technology to Europe that saved Europe from the Black Plague, you mean to tell me that if we saved the white race, that we weren't already in America already? When we brought the technology, when Rome was dependent on Africa for food, remember when the Black Plague hit Rome, the cause was one of the officials was stealing the grain that was coming from Africa. So there was famine, hit Rome. If your source of sustenance is from Africa, how are you superior? You get your food from me. So if you get your food from me, who's more likely to travel this globe? Me, I'm the source of food. And that's the first thing you need to survive on this planet. So if your whole civilization is depending on me to supply food, I made it to America first. It's just that you won the war and you got to tell the story.
Is that their only source of food? I mean, it's a source of food that Rome had, right? But Rome is also very close to Africa.
Well, let's talk about that. What kinds of food did they have?
Well, I don't know.
It's very rudimentary. It was a very rudimentary civilization. It wasn't all what it's cracked up to be. When you go look at what the Greeks said about Egypt, when they go into Egypt, it's like, yo, it's like the New York City of that time.
The ultimate. If you really want to talk about African civilization being advanced, Egypt is the ultimate, because Egypt to this day is still unexplained. No one really understands how they built those things. No one understands how old the culture is. That's another thing that Graham Hancock and Dr. Robert Schoch from Boston University, who's a geologist, he's pointing to water erosion and the Temple of the Sphinx that leads you to believe that that place might have been as old as 9,000 plus BC. So,
it absolutely is.
Yeah, but,
if not older, going back to Pharaoh Ramses.
There's also different styles of architecture, right? There's older styles of architecture they find deeper in the sand. They think it might have been indicative of an earlier kingdom. And then there's also the Nubian structures of some of the faces, particularly the Sphinx.
Yeah.
You know, the Sphinx, they believe, had a lion's face, and then when they were conquered by the Nubians, they changed the actual structure of the face of the Sphinx and turned it into a king's face.
Well, the way it was taught to me was that there's Upper and Lower Egypt. So Upper Egypt is actually our new South, right? That's our South. And what the way it was taught to me was that was the mind of Egypt. And the economic section of Egypt was what we see Giza pyramids. And it's economic because if you look at it, it sits between 3 continents on the Mediterranean Sea. So it's a perfect place to carry out commerce. It's the perfect place. That's why everybody wants to be there. That's why there's a war in the Middle East, because it's a perfect place to be.
So do you believe that some Africans came over here in slave ships or none?
Very minimal.
Very minimal, really. So you think it's a myth?
Almost.
Now, is there any scholars that support these opinions? Are
This
these
was a
your
good
opinions?
show,
Where are you getting this from?
This was a
So-
good show.
Here's the thing. This is
I gotta
stuff I
watch
studied
this.
probably close to 15 years ago. So I don't remember a lot of my sources or who I learned it from, but I can give you a couple of names. What you got to do is you got to look up Shaka Akmos. You got to look up Dr. Kaba Kameen, Dr. Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemmett. Who else is a good Egyptologist? Shaka Akmos is a real good Egyptologist. I think you should start there with Shaka Akmos. But these are videos I used to watch and lectures I used to watch back in the day. Now I focus on like startups, and that's where my brain is. That's where my knowledge is focused on.
Right.
But a lot of this stuff comes from my own comment.
Exactly. I mean, never mind the question of like how you can discover a place where the inhabitants are watching you arrive from the shore. They weren't wearing pants. Is that what somebody said? I like that.
Blacks as we know them are as old as time, and their existence in the civilized world could be traced down to the very early centuries, even before the coming of Christ. Going forward, the conventional history reports that Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. And the same history also says that the first black people to arrive America were enslaved Africans brought by Portuguese and Spanish traders in the early 16th century through the transatlantic slave trade.
Some shit, dog.
Well, none of these claims are true. We've been fooled all these while, as always has been the case. Interestingly, recent research has proven that some black people had been in America for more than 1,000 years before Columbus ever stepped foot into the American continent. In fact, there is strong evidence pointing to the fact.
What is the main idea in your book, They Came Before Columbus?
The main idea in my book is to show that early America before the coming of Columbus, was a far more complex society than people imagined, and that it involved Africans. Africans came in here. They came in on several occasions. Sometimes these were accidents, sometimes they were on purpose, and that they had an influence, an actual impact and influence upon the formation of certain American civilizations.
When we say pre-Columbus period, what are we talking about?
We're talking about long before 1492. It is absurd, and only fools can still believe that Columbus discovered the Americas in 1492. In fact, Columbus never even came to this continent. Columbus wandered about in the Caribbean islands, just on the very edge of the great civilizations.
Shocked? Don't be. It is true.
Hey, this
Unraveling the raw truth behind the curtains
like
of history is what we are about today in this video. Journey with us in our quest to find out just who the real lords of the Americas actually are.
I told you, dog, this is why I don't be liking to talk, because when you get on these topics, they want to troll and go hard and hard. That's why I don't be liking to talk about this shit, bro, because this is the shit that creates division. But it's facts, though. Dog, I'm not a racist. Y'all are.
So anyway, there were actually many other mariners before Columbus that discovered America as well. Decades earlier, even eons earlier, there were so many people that were coming across these islands and this continent. But it's only been in the last century that evidence has surfaced and continually grown to indicate that many of these pre-Columbian explorers might have come from Africa.
The facts point out that black people actually it was who were in America thousands of years before Columbus. Before we go on, do not forget to support our efforts by hitting the like button before you. Share with your friends and families to keep spreading our eye-opening black narrative, and consider subscribing to stay with us for more if you are yet to. All right, let us dive in, shall we?
That many of these pre-Columbian explorers might have come from Africa. So the first scientist to promote this possibility was Leo Wiener. Born in Russia, Wiener immigrated to the United States in the late 19th century on his way to British Honduras, where he planned to open a vegetarian commune. Well, when that turned out not to be the dream
I had
job he
to roll up
expected,
another one, my nigga,
he
listening to this
moved back to the United States, and he became a professor at Harvard University, as one does.
This shit
And but in his time in Mesoamerica, he started noticing things. There are lots of things that led him to encounter certain discoveries that made him consider that possibly if the origins of American civilization might actually be in Africa. So he observed so many linguistic and botanical and other similarities that between 1920 and 1922, he published an extensive 3-volume piece.
Listen, the reason why I like these videos is because I be trying to see, when them people see that it's just black people saying this shit, they gonna be like, oh, they're racist, they're racist. But see, I always, see, y'all still ain't caught on to the way I do shit for y'all. I try to show y'all all races. I show y'all the LGBT, how they feel about it. I show y'all the whites, how they feel about it. Listen, it's the message, dog. These people don't be listening, dog. They don't be listening.
Called Africa and the Discovery of America. Now, unfortunately, this is the 1920s, so as yet, no serious archaeological evidence had been done to, or work had been done to support his botanical theories, because everyone was overrating tombs in Egypt and things like that. Nod to Howard Carter. So he didn't have a whole lot of other stuff than the names to support him. However, he knew that other clues must exist. For example, he pointed out that Columbus himself was aware that African mariners had preceded him. In his diary of his second voyage, Columbus tells of how the natives of Hispaniola actually had given him gold-tipped metal spearheads that they said were brought by black-skinned people who had come in large boats from the south and southeast.
They gave him gifts, you know, it's just like in California. You in the wrong neighborhood. Where you from, nigga? We from the other side of town. They give them gifts to let them make it. You know what I'm saying? We trying to get up on this island, man. What can we do? Give them gold spears, nigga. Hey, man. Hey, listen, dog. Listen, dog. We're gonna go back. We're gonna go back.
Coincidence?
We're gonna go back.
I think not.
We're gonna go back.
For example, he pointed out that Columbus himself was aware that African mariners had preceded him. In his diary of his second voyage, Columbus tells of how the natives of Hispaniola actually had given him gold-tipped metal spearheads that they said were brought by black-skinned people who had come in large boats from the south and southeast.
That's what they said, dog.
I think not. No. So what's interesting about that, so upon returning to Spain, is that he actually took the spearheads and he sent them away and they had them assayed, and it turned out to be that these spearheads were covered in this metal, this alloy that the inhabitants called guanin, and the metallurgists actually found out that this was an alloy of 32 parts. It was like 18 of gold, 6 of silver, 8 of copper, which, matched the metal used in spearheads made in Western Africa for thousands of years, as carried by medieval African warriors, including the Mali and the Moors. The West Africans even called this metal guanine, the same name used by the natives of Hispaniola.
That's crazy, dog.
But
the fuck out of here, man, with this bullshit, dog. It's crazy.
Conspiracy. Well, probably because, in the interest of Spain, it was in their best interest that they didn't want to have any challenges to the discovery and the claims to the islands of the West Indies.
You heard who benefits from keeping it hidden. Here's my verdict on the clip.
Hey, that shit crazy,
didn't make
dog.
a definitive claim. He didn't say this is absolutely true.
Hey, he did.
Most mainstream.
Bro, that's not what I'm saying. I'm asking y'all opinion. See, if it would be respectfully, I don't know what to believe. I'm not showing y'all this because, oh man, I'm behind this 100%. I don't know shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, just like he did. He said the same thing. Hey, and he did. It's crazy because you wouldn't think that he is that knowledgeable of this type of shit like this, dog. But he very, very smart and intelligent in a motherfucker. You can tell he reads a lot, dog. Like
platforms refused to do. He allowed the conversation to happen. He engaged with the evidence.
Yeah,
and
I respect the way that he came on that house.
And that's more than most
it's all true, brother. That's all true.
Institutions have done. Because the reality is,
I know in my heart this is true.
There's evidence that black people were in the Americas before Columbus. There is evidence that we were here before the transatlantic slave trade. And there is evidence that this narrative has been suppressed because it challenges the foundation of American history and the justification for slavery, colonization, and the theft of land. Now let's talk about the evidence, because this is not just speculation. The Olmec civilization, which existed in what is now Mexico from 1200 BC to 400 BC, is considered the mother culture of Mesoamerica. The Olmec heads, which are massive stone sculptures weighing up to 50 tons, clearly depict African features.
Yes.
Mainstream archaeologists claim these are just artistic representations, but the features are too specific, too detailed.
Man, listen, dog. You can say what the fuck you want to say about, like, the natives and all that. That's cool. That's cool to the mud. I'm with it. It's an argument. But my nigga, that person right there look like me. That person right there, whatever that is right there, that look like me. I'm just keeping it funky here.
And too consistent to be dismissed. In addition, there are skeletal remains found in the Americas that have been identified as Negroid, meaning they have African bone structure. These remains predate the transatlantic slave trade by thousands of years. There are also ancient Egyptian artifacts found in the Grand Canyon, including hieroglyphics and statues that suggest African civilizations had contact with the Americas long before Europeans. Then there's the linguistic evidence. Dr. Clyde Winters has documented over 100 words that are identical in West African languages and indigenous American languages. These are not loan words. They are foundational words for things like water, fire, and family, which suggests a common origin. There are also cultural practices that are identical, including religious rituals, agricultural techniques, and architectural styles.
You don't realize that black is so influential. That's why I try to explain to y'all, I don't think you can be racist in these times with these children. Listen, dog. White kids love black things. Like I explain to y'all all the time, the first thing I go to that they love, that we love, is the shoes. They love the shoes, following the music. I don't think if you are a white father and you tell these kids they can't listen to Pooh Shiesty or something, man, listen, they gonna rebel like a mother. It's different times. You tell them they can't wear that clothing or them Jordans, man, them kids gonna go crazy. I don't believe that you can influence, because you know they say racism is taught. I don't think you can teach. Maybe in them little country as, you know, Timbuktu with a hole in the wild towns. Yeah, maybe. Not in the inner city, dog. Black is influential, bro. It's been that way. They steal our style. Everything we do, man. Come on now, dog.
The pyramids in Mexico and Central America are strikingly similar to the pyramids in Egypt and Sudan, and both were built by civilizations that worship similar deities and practice similar rituals. And then there's the historical record. When Europeans first arrived in the Americas, they documented encounters with black people who were not enslaved Africans. In 1513, Vasco Núñez de Balboa wrote about encountering black people in Panama. In 1528, Cabeza de Vaca wrote about black tribes in Texas.
Yeah, that's
in the 1600s,
I just don't
Dutch
think it's gonna
explorers
fly.
documented black people living in what is now New York.
The people, the
These
fathers
accounts
might
have been
feel like
dismissed
that, but
as
the
referring
kids
to
not.
escaped slaves. But the timeline doesn't add up. The transatlantic slave trade didn't begin in earnest until the 1600s, and these accounts predate that. So who were these black people?
Who were the
And why
black
has
people
their
that were coming
existence
over
been
here?
erased from the historical record? Let's talk about the hypocrisy, because it's thick enough to build a pyramid with. This is the same academic establishment that claims to value truth, evidence, and rigorous scholarship. But when evidence emerges that challenges the narrative of black people being brought here as slaves, it's dismissed as pseudoscience. or conspiracy theory. This is the same historical establishment that has spent centuries erasing African contributions to civilization, claiming that Egyptians were not black, that Africans had no written language, and that we contributed nothing to human progress.
Man.
But when evidence emerges that Africans were in the Americas before Columbus, suddenly the standards of evidence become impossibly high. This is the same system that built its entire foundation on the narrative that black people were savages who needed to be civilized, that we had no history before slavery, and that we were brought here for our own good. But if we were already here, if we were the original inhabitants, then that entire narrative collapses. And that's exactly why this evidence has been suppressed. Not this, family. Not that. You can't claim to value truth and then suppress evidence that challenges your narrative. You can't claim to be objective and then dismiss evidence because it doesn't fit your worldview. You can't erase our history and then act surprised when we reclaim it. Now let's connect this to the system. Because this suppression is not accidental. It's systematic. In education, the system teaches a sanity achievement. In archaeology, the system dismisses or ignores evidence of African presence in the Americas because it challenges the narrative of European discovery and colonization. In media, the system ridicules anyone who questions the official narrative, labeling them as conspiracy theorists or pseudoscientists. In law, the system denies reparations and land rights to black people based on the narrative that we were brought here as slaves, not that we were the original inhabitants.
I just laughed it off, man.
This suppression serves a purpose.
He cold with it, boy.
It justifies the theft of land. It justifies slavery. It justifies colonization. And it justifies the ongoing oppression of black people. Because if we were already here, if we were the original inhabitants, then everything changes. We're not just owed reparations for slavery. We're owed the land itself.
What's the guest name? I don't even know who the hell that guy is, dog, but I was definitely finna go because, you know, I'm pretty sure you can find it on, you know, like, a lot of that shit I be listening to on, like, radio stations and shit. Like, you know, not like, I forget, like, I got YouTube music, so these guys be having podcasts, you can just listen to it. Like, you don't know visual or none of that shit. So I was finna go try to figure it out as soon as I got up out this bitch. That shit was crazy. They look like they was having a deep ass conversation.
Were the original inhabitants
that shit was
of
cold.
America. Transformed her understanding.
I didn't know he was that smart, dog.
She said she no longer feels like a descendant of slaves. She feels like a descendant of the original people of this land. A teacher shared that when he started teaching his students about the Olmec heads and the evidence of African presence in the Americas, they began to see themselves differently, with more pride and more connection to this land. A scholar said that uncovering the truth about black people being in the Americas before Columbus has been the most important work of his career, because it dismantles the lies that have been used to oppress us for centuries. These stories prove that reclaiming our history is not,
you know, like the part with the gifts, like we trying to get up over here. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like thinking like, you know, paying people off to get up on this bitch. They just gave us some gold to let us up on it. Listen, man, I can see that type of shit happening, dog. I could see that type of shit. Not all of them. They didn't say all the black people. They said they were seen around, sliding and gliding. Nigga, we trying to get over here and figure it out. Like, nigga, that shit is that interview had to be dubbed out. Y'all gotta understand what I be into, dog. I be into this type of shit, dog. Dog, I be on the bullshit. Don't get it twisted, but I be wanting to be on some knowledgeable shit, dog. Because you have to, dog. I gotta learn something every day, bro. My time is coming short on this earth. So I be wanting to really be knowledgeable about shit, dog. Don't be mad at me. I'm not no racist, dog. I love my people. It's it. Dog, y'all, I'll be showing y'all different angles of shit, fool. Like, just crazy, dog. Just, I be wanting y'all opinion respectfully. Y'all want to go crazy in the comments. They can just go crazy. They can say what the hell they want to say in this bitch. They don't understand it as long as it's respectful. Nigga, chop suey y'all ass up out of here. Dog, but you gonna listen. You gonna listen, and you can be mad all you want to. You can be mad all you want to, man. This should be goddamn. I didn't even want to tell y'all it was true because I hurt y'all feelings just by telling y'all it's the truth. They get mad at me, man. Listen, dog. This is what these people said, man. It's the people of y'all ethnics saying this shit, dog. So what the hell is going on, man? Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know, dog. You know, the likes always gonna tell the truth, though. The like button will tell the truth. And I not once said, hit the like button. I never once said that, dog. That's this shit to tell the truth, fool. It always tell the truth, dog. I'm telling you, fool. But, man, there's a lot of shit been going on. A lot of shit I seen, dog. It's just so much shit I seen, dog. Y'all don't even understand. It's Black History Month. Y'all know I had to hit y'all with something because it wouldn't have been right. Because I hear Miss Sissy. I don't know what Miss Sissy say. Yeah, she been telling me, it's Black History Month. I know where she hearing that. I know where she hearing that. I know where you going. Man, I see some shit, dog. Y'all don't even know, dog, the shit that I seen, dog. Bro, if I show it to y'all, it'll make y'all mad. I'm debating on or should we go this way? I don't know, man. Should I show it to y'all, make y'all? Yeah, dog, that shit hit different. That shit definitely hit different, man. Damn, I want to show y'all this shit, dog, but cause there's some shit been going on in Chicago, man. That shit foul in the motherfucker. How they did that girl, dog. Like they did that girl like that, dog. This shit was wild.
Eyewitnesses just
like, because the video is just, I want to see if it's like right because you can't show certain shit.
killed at 79th and May has been identified.
They got a video, man. Dog, this is bad, boy. Them boys ran up on the court, shot that girl up, man. Dog, like over 100 shots. My nigga at this car, put the car flat, drove off, got rid of the car, burnt that bitch, my nigga. I'm talking about, dog, shooting at the girl boyfriend in the passenger seat. He don't even get unalive. Bro, I seen the video, fool. I seen the video, nigga, on Reddit, nigga. Dog, the video is so crucial, fool. You watch some niggas run up on the car. Pop, 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 pop. I'm talking about let loose. 3 dudes run back. The car park, they getaway car parked on the side street. I guess they had been shooting at the car already because the car was crashed. So as they got in the getaway car and drove past the car that they shot at, they shot more shots at the tires to put it on flat so that they couldn't leave and burnt off. Nigga, this shit was sick, nigga. I'm talking about sick. I'm gonna run it right, but I ain't gonna run it today, though. I'm just gonna get my ass up out of here, man. El Seco, I appreciate you, man. Cut their ass out, man. I'm gone, dog.